2026. We'll give it a few minutes for people to join, and we'll get started. Hey, Duke, welcome. All right, we got some more people joining. Give it another minute or so. We are only 19 subscribers away from hitting the 8,000 mark. Yeah, it should work fine on your iPhone there, Duke. The good thing is, once we get to 8,000, we should be able to get to 10,000 very quickly. We will be having another giveaway. I have a Mission First tactical belly band holster I will be giving away. You need to be a subscriber to win. So if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. And I will announce the winner next Saturday, so I can give people on the Wednesday night stream a chance. What's the weather like here today in Tennessee? It's kind of damp and raining. Not the greatest day, but it's a little on the cool side. It's about 67 degrees. So I was going to take a ride over to Bud's Guns this morning, maybe this afternoon. Every now and then I thin out the herd so I can get new guns. And I'm thinking of maybe seeing what I can get in a trade-in for my... Hey, Brookside, how's it going there, brother? Everything is going well here. Hope you're doing good as well. So I'm thinking of trading in my Ruger 5.7, my Ruger American 45, and maybe my Savage Stance. Every now and then I trade in some of my older guns and get something new. And those are pretty much the only three I am willing to part with. All right, let's talk about some gun laws. And this was a huge win for Tennesseans. Now, the Tennessee legislature is done now for the year. And God bless you too, Randall. Thanks for joining. So it adjourned for the 2026 session yesterday. But the Tennessee General Assembly passed a huge bill, Second Amendment bill for Tennesseans, and they passed HB 1802, allowing the use of deadly force to protect personal property from crimes like theft, arson, burglary. Currently, before that bill, in Tennessee and most states, you are not able to use deadly force to protect personal property. However, with this new bill now, deadly force can be used to protect personal property, and this includes stopping a burglary, a theft, robbery, arson, damage to personal property, including animals and livestock. Deadly force is authorized if a person reasonably believes it is immediately necessary to stop the crime and no other option exists. I agree with you, Brookside. Now, I think this is a huge, huge win. I think about it. You're a homeowner and people are rioting and throwing Molotov cocktails through your window or trying to light your barn on fire where you have your livestock. And before passing this bill, you would have to just stand there and watch. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about all of this, but I guess the good thing about it is now you don't need to drag the body inside the house. But this does not mean that just because somebody's on your property and they're taking your lawnmower that you can just go outside and start blasting. Now, the people that were opposed to this bill, their concern is that people are going to just start shooting people that are on their property taking stuff. Well, the law is going to fix that, right? I mean, just like if someone breaks into your home, you have to prove that you felt your life was in danger. Fortunately, in Tennessee, the law interprets it that if someone breaks into your home, your life is in danger. I agree with you, Brookside. Livestock is people's livelihood. You can have a barn that maybe is underinsured and, you can't replace the contents. You should be able to do that. Some of the people that were against it, and hello to you, Desert Channel. Thanks for joining. Some of the people that were against it argued that, if somebody with Alzheimer's disease walks onto someone's property, they're going to get shot. It's not going to turn into Wild West City. And I'm sure there's got to be a lot of gray areas with this. My wife and I were discussing this last night, and I guess if you look at it as, now you got to remember how the jury's going to interpret this, right? Now, if you're in your home and someone is breaking into your car and you're inside, your life is not in danger. If you go outside and just start shooting people, you put yourself in that position. I don't know if I really want to test this in court. It's kind of a gray area where you feel that deadly force is required to stop it. Now, when it comes to livestock, that's a totally different story. But I mean, somebody's stealing your lawnmower, I'm pretty damn sure if you just go out and start blasting them, the jury's going to have a problem with that. But on the other hand, everybody that is going to commit a crime in Tennessee probably knows that almost everybody in Tennessee has a firearm, right? So I'm pretty sure they're going to have a firearm as well. But what this basically comes down to is somebody robbing your property with the use of force. Now, if you look at the Castle Doctrine law, which we have instead in the state of Tennessee, where we're allowed to use deadly force anywhere we have the legal right to be, as long as we're not in the commission of a crime. Well, I don't know how you prove somebody stealing your lawnmower was a threat, and that is the only way you could stop it. Now, it doesn't say the person needs to be armed, just that they need to be a threat. Now, I'm old. You could be an old person, and, I'm too old to fight and I'm too fat to run. So I can shoot pretty damn good. But I'm not sure I really want to test that law. But I still think it's a huge win for Tennesseans. Instead of having to stand back and watch people take our stuff. My other feeling on this is that if you think that my possessions are worth more than your life, then that's your bad. Yeah, I could fight for 30 seconds too, Duke, but I'm just saying that um, I think it's just very difficult to prove. And good afternoon, AG. And hi on sleep. I hear your mommy calling you. It's time to go back in your mommy's basement. And we have a bunch of new people on the channel today, so thank you for joining us. We do this every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern, every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern. We are only about 19 subscribers away from reaching our goal of 8,000. So I'd appreciate it if you can subscribe to our channel. But anyway, as far as the use of deadly force to protect personal property, I still think this is a huge win for Tennesseans. And amen there, Edward. So we had 3 bills that were just passed in Tennessee, besides including this one. And the first one was that it is now illegal for a landlord to prohibit tenants from possessing firearms or ammunition on their property, whether it's an office building or an apartment or a business. And that is huge because your Second Amendment rights don't evaporate based on where you live. And hello to you, Libra Mordano. Thank you for joining us. Second bill that passed made Tennessee the first and only state in the country that has mandatory firearms training for kindergarten through 12th grade. And kudos to the government in Tennessee for doing that. Odds are, if you're a kid and you live in Tennessee, there's a pretty damn good chance that you're going to have a gun in your house. So I give them credit for having gun safety classes as mandatory. And this third one for the use of deadly force to protect personal property. Yep, I agree, Duke. Tennessee definitely has their act together. You know what? Don't steal people's shit. Don't come to Tennessee and commit crimes. It's that simple. If you don't steal people's stuff, you live longer. Now, one thing I want to clarify, these And I agree with you, Edward. You can't get enough safety training. The problem is, since we became a constitutional carry state, they no longer require training or permits to carry a firearm. And, you know, the downside to that now is people are not getting training. And as a pistol instructor, I used to have 10 to 12 people a month before this. And then 2 years ago, when they made us a constitutional carry state, I haven't had a single firearms class since then. And that's the scary part, is that people just go to a gun store, buy a gun, strap it on their hip, and like magic, it's going to protect them, and get no training. But it is what it is. But anyway, the use of deadly force to protect personal property, I just think is huge for us. The surprising thing, though, that still is annoying me about our governor, because I still think Governor Lee is a rhino, is that we have a stupid thing on the books in Tennessee called the intent to go armed. It's been on the books for a long time. And basically, if they wanted to make an example out of you, anyone carrying a firearm can be charged with the intent to go armed. And the problem with that is the courts ruled that it's unconstitutional and unenforceable, being that we are a constitutional carry state. And our governor and our attorney general have appealed it. So I kind of don't understand why they pass certain gun laws for us, like being able to use deadly force to protect personal property, and making it illegal for landlords to prohibit renters from having firearms or ammo. And then this stupid law that's been on the books, they just won't get rid of that. It just boggles my mind. Yep, Trump USA, I agree. If certain states had their way, they'd make it one round, or they'd make the only guns available bolt action. Before we moved to the great state of Tennessee, we used to live in the communist state of New Jersey, and we used to have a 15-round magazine capacity. And then when Governor Murphy got elected, the first thing he did, in the middle of the night with the swipe of a pen, made anything over 10 rounds considered high capacity. Now, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can only have X rounds. And the worst part about it is that if you are deemed competent and qualified to own and carry a firearm, then what difference does it make how many rounds you have? I mean, that's the dumbest argument of all. So what they're saying is that 10 casualties is acceptable. They arbitrarily picked a number out of the air. And again, these are limitations imposed on law-abiding citizens. The bad guys are still going to have their high-capacity magazines. And I agree, Edward, Ohio is a very gun-friendly state, but so is Tennessee. Matter of fact, we've been here 7 years now, and it's gotten friendlier and friendlier every year. That was one of the main reasons we moved out of New Jersey. Hey, Pezzo, hello, you brother. Thank you for joining. Um, and Amy, hello to you. Hope you're doing well. Trump USA, you're in Michigan. I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but according to the gun news, Michigan is very close to becoming the um, 30th constitutional carry state. Ozzy, welcome. So, just something for you to keep an eye on there, Trump USA. Um, my understanding is that Michigan um, is soon to become the 30th constitutional carry state. So they may have already passed that by now. So you may want to check. Like I said, I check the Tennessee legislature every month. Um, I write my representatives um, and urge them to vote for or against gun bills. You know what, Trump? Um, there's some states that have horrible governors, but they still didn't mess with people's gun rights. And I could live with that. And yeah, Edward, Tennessee is an open carry state as well. Uh, anyone of legal age can open or conceal carry in the state of Tennessee without a permit. Even if you don't live here. And that is true, Amy. But like I said, when I did not, and I don't understand what that's got to do with anything there, Slim. This is a gun forum. Um, we discuss firearms, etc. So, like I was saying, I highly recommend that everyone check their state legislature. There's gun bills that are trying to get passed every month that most people don't even know about. Hey, Jib Jab, there you go, brother. And just for you, Jib Jab, I just got done mentioning that Tennessee just passed a new gun bill called HB 1802 that allows the use of deadly force to protect personal property. And that is huge. And I just thought you'd be interested in that. Um, when we first moved here 7 years ago, we had to take an 8 hour class and we had to qualify on the range with our firearm. And now people don't need anything. Um, and, you know, if the guy next to me is carrying a firearm, I want to know that he at least is competent and has had um, basic firearm safety. Jib Jab, I am looking at 1911s and I want to get, either a TSUS. I've been looking at them. I want to get another one. Like I said, I have way too many 9mm, and anything else I get now, I think is either going to be a 1911 or a revolver. I agree with you, Edward. The NRA, in my opinion, is really nothing but a cash cow. They don't give a rat's ass about our gun rights. All they do is take people's money. And Nunny, I think I hear your mommy calling you. You can go back in the basement now. But I do support Gun Owners of America. Gun Owners of America does a hell of a lot more than the NRA. They're the ones that won that Bruin suit that made New York a must issue carry state. Gun Owners of America does a lot. It really does. And there are other gun organizations, but I strongly urge everyone to support at least one of them that you feel is helpful. Now, the NRA has really deteriorated over the years. And to be honest with you, first of all, I don't know how Wayne LaPierre isn't in prison. I mean, the guy blatantly just stole millions of dollars. And if it wasn't for the fact that I am a NRA certified pistol instructor, they kind of forced me to being a member to keep my certification. And I kind of don't like that because that is the only reason I'm keeping my NRA membership. I'm not keeping it because I believe in the NRA at all. Trust me, Jib Jab, I've been researching 1911s for a long time. There's certain ones I wouldn't buy, but there are a lot of budget-friendly, and when I say budget-friendly, I don't mean cheap crap. But there are a lot of budget-friendly 1911s that function as well as the higher-priced ones. And in most cases, it's really not for performance or durability. A lot of it has to do with finish, looks, and features. You buy a higher-priced one, and the finish is better, and maybe they have better sights and they're optic ready. But I'll get right to you on that, Trump. But TSAS is a very, very solid choice, as is EAA and Gerson. Matter of fact, EAA and Gerson are the same company. To answer your question, Trump, I'm not a huge fan of Rock Island. I know a lot of people have them and they like them. I had a bad experience with a Rock Island. I bought a Rock Island 1911 a few years ago. Took it to the range, it fired fine. I was carrying it for a few weeks, locked and loaded. And I got home one day and I decided I'll just blast a few rounds in the backyard. And I went to pull the trigger and it wouldn't fire. I took out the magazine and it fired. Put the magazine back in, hasn't fired. I sent it to Rock Island. They fixed it. I got it back. And I had the same problem. Now, keep in mind, I was carrying that firearm for 2 weeks, right? And God forbid, if I really needed it, it would have been a problem. So, I know they're made in the Philippines, and it's kind of like a tourist. You either get a good one or a bad one, but you don't want to know that it's a bad one when your life is on the line. And yes, Jib Jab, I do have experience with Magnum Research. Magnum Research makes the Desert Eagle, and they make good quality 1911s. The thing about the 1911s is that even a cheap 1911 has got a better trigger than a expensive striker fire pistol. Matter of fact, in my opinion, 1911 out of the box has got the best trigger on the planet. But that's my take on the Rock Island. I also bought another Rock Island Trump. I bought a Rock Island 10 millimeter, and it had the bull barrel. And I wound up getting rid of it because it was such a pain in the ass to field strip. They didn't even give you the tool. So at the end of the barrel, you had to stick a paper clip in the hole uh, to remove the barrel assembly. Uh, AB Irado, yes. Um, there's a few guns I can think of for people with smaller hands. Um, the Springfield Hellcat Pro is one of my favorites. It's micro compact. Um, I would highly recommend that for people with smaller hands. And the Savage Stance XR is also a great firearm for people with smaller hands. Um, Glocks tend to be very bulky, and if you have smaller hands, they may not fit you well. But that grip on the Hellcat Pro is fantastic. And another nice thing about it is that the grip is adaptive texturing. So the harder you squeeze it, the better it fits your hand. Um, so that would be my suggestion for you, AB. Um, the Smith & Wesson Equalizer is also a very good quality gun for people with smaller hands. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those Bond Arms Derringers. Um, you try shooting one of those little things with 45 Colt or 357 Magnum, see how your wrist likes that. Anyway, now that we have more people here, I'll bring it up again. Um, every now and then, I try to thin out the herd and trade in some firearms and get something new. I was going to take a ride to Bud's Guns today, and I have 3 guns. Out of all of my firearms, I think I only have 3 I'm willing to part with. And one of them is the Ruger 5.7. The other one is the Ruger American 45 and my Savage Stance. The problem is when you go to the gun store, they don't really give you anything for them. So I'm just curious what they'll give me. Yeah, you know what, Edward? The Smith & Wesson Airweight is a very good choice, actually. Um, it's lightweight. 38 Special is a really nice round. It'll definitely do the job, and it's easy to conceal and it's light to carry. Yeah, I bet, Ozzy. And honestly, I don't really see the point of the Bond Arms. I mean, other than maybe it looks cool. That wouldn't be my choice for home defense or uh, a carry gun. But people like them, and they sell a lot of them. I guess people get them because they're cool and they're probably a lot of fun. It's almost like the Rossi Brawler. Um, the Rossi Brawler is a hell of a lot of fun. I did a review on that. It's a pistol with a 9-inch barrel that comes in different calibers, and that also shoots 45 Colt and 410 shotgun shells. They also make it available in 5.56, and that's just a lot of fun, especially if you get the one in 45 Colt and 410. It's a great snake gun. It's a good gun to play with in the backyard with birdshot, and they're only 200 and something bucks. And New York Patriot, hello, brother. Thank you for joining. Mike, welcome, brother. I haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I hear you there, Jib Jab. I know it's painful, but um, the channel is still small and growing, and sometimes the only way for me to get another firearm is to trade in a few. Um, we are growing. It just still takes uh, some time to accumulate funds. And Nikki loves pasta. Hey, good to see you again. And Steve, how you doing there, brother? You know what, Steve? That's perfect timing. I'm a, I love the 10 millimeter, right? Um, I really like that Taurus 10 millimeter. Um, and the thing I like about it is, besides the fact that it's affordable, surprisingly, um, it's also a hammer fired gun, which is really cool because most of the 10 millimeters are striker fired. I just bought the Smith and Wesson M&P 2.0, and that is a striker fired gun. I'm almost thinking about picking up one of those Tauruses just to review it. We are only 19 subscribers away from hitting our goal of 8,000. So, you guys out here haven't done so, please hit the subscribe button. Um, anyway, like I said last week, I'm just looking to get more 1911s and more revolvers. Um, and Michael Drew, how are you? Thank you for joining. Yeah, go on, Ozzy. Um, I'm also thinking of maybe giving Kimber another try. Um, my first one didn't work out well, but now that I've found that using Wilson Combat mags or Chip McCormick mags fixes most of the misfires with 1911s, um, I may give Kimber another try. I normally don't do that. Normally, when I have a product I don't like or I had a bad experience with, like the Rock Island, I usually will never get another one. Um, I probably will never get another Rock Island. Um, but I've had good luck with the TSAS. I actually looked at that Kunin, Nikki. It's a little expensive for me right now. Um, I we're still a small growing channel. I'm not big enough yet where um, people will send me a firearm to review. I do purchase it out of my own pocket, and with the revenue that I generate on YouTube now, uh, I do want to thank our subscribers and viewers that purchase super chat stickers. That helps, and we also have memberships available. If people want to join the channel, um, we'll take all the help we can get. And we do have members out there, so I appreciate you guys, and I thank all our subscribers. You know what, Trump? I'm not a fan of the Taurus G2C. I have one. Um, just not a fan. Maybe you have better luck than I did, Ed. I had horrible luck with my first Kimber was the Custom 2, and that thing was a horror show. Now, I probably would have been better off giving it a little more time to break in and using my Wilson Combat or Chip McCormick mags, but I was too impatient. Yeah, and I agree with you, Jib Jab. Tank Folio, they make a great product as well. But like I said, anytime I've had a jam in a firearm, um, Wilson Combat fixed it. Matter of fact, the Wilson Combat and Chip McCormick magazines work better than the OEM magazines in every one of my 1911s. Um, they're not that expensive either. And by the way, Wilson Combat now owns Chip McCormick. Um, I am still trying to keep an eye on what's going on with Beretta and Ruger. Um, if you read the info on it, it seems to be getting worse and worse every week. It really looks like Beretta is trying to force a hostile takeover. Which concerns me because I like Ruger products. And by the way, Jib Jab, I was looking at the Ruger 1022, and they now have a 250th anniversary version. And Grab a Gun has it for like $300. I'm thinking of just getting it just to have it. If I had to do it, I don't need any parts, but I think now is probably a good time to stock up on Ruger parts because who knows what's going to happen with that Beretta deal. I'm hoping they could play nice together. I mean, Beretta makes great products, and I'm just hoping that they just leave the Ruger brand alone. Like when CZ went out and purchased all their companies, right? They kind of left Dan Wesson alone. They operate on their own. They left Colt alone. They all operate as independent companies. So, well, that's the problem, Ozzy. I bought my Kimber Custom 3 years ago, and I had to tell you, it was absolutely gorgeous. It was black onyx and stainless. It was beautiful, but that thing jammed every other round. And, I normally when I have a bad experience with a firearm, I never go back to them. But I just want more 1911s. I've been looking at the TSUS stainless steel. EAA and Gerson make good ones. As far as the revolvers go, I just got the Colt Viper not too long ago. Still haven't fired it yet. That's why I haven't done a review on it. And I also want to get the Colt King Cobra. I'm just a huge fan of the snake guns. I love the Python. I love the Viper. So I'd like to know your opinions on this. Like I said, I only have 3 guns that I'm willing to part with. One is the Ruger 5.7. One is the Ruger American 45 ACP. And one is the Savage Stance. I'd like to know your opinions on whether you think I should get rid of all of them or one of them, or which would you keep? To answer your question, Mike, I have never shot a Kimber revolver. Another revolver I've been looking at that looks really cool. 1 second there, heavy man, is the Diamondback. It's just a really cool looking revolver. Heavy man, which Ruger are you talking about? The Ruger 5.7 or the Ruger American 45? You know what? I agree with you there, heavy man. I may keep the 5.7 because number one, um, I'm definitely not going to get anything for it. I mean, it was on sale. I when I bought that, I paid like $399. So, um, if they're only going to give me like $200 for it, I'll just keep it. The Ruger American, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's got 7 round capacity, and to be honest with you, um, I already have the Glock 30 in 45 ACP that's got 10 round capacity. Yeah, I'm not sure either, Mike. I just, I don't know. I guess I'm just not a huge Kimber fan. Um, but I got to tell you though that the Diamondback is a really cool looking revolver. Um, but like I said, the only way for me to get new firearms is to trade in some. It does take uh, a while for me to accumulate YouTube funds because we are a small channel. You know, Edward, I don't think the snake guns are overpriced, to be honest with you. My Python has got the best double action trigger I've ever experienced in 40 years. Um, Now, the average person may say, the Python at $1,300 is overpriced, but when you take that Python to the range and you pull that trigger and it's like butter, that's where the money is. Now, don't get me wrong. I like my Smith & Wesson 686 and I like my Ruger GP 100, but that trigger on the Python, there's nothing like it. Um, so if money's not an issue, um, you'll definitely notice the difference. The Viper has a very good trigger as well. Um, it's a good carry gun. Now, the trigger is not um, as good as the Python. And I have not tried a 500 Smith & Wesson. Um, Springfield just came out with a little mini 9mm pistol that's like a carbine. I forget what it's called. It's very tiny, but it's really cool looking. But anyway, that's my take on the Colts. Um, I bought mine when I think CZ owned Colt for a couple of years, and I can tell you that the quality of the Colt has drastically improved since Colt. To answer your question, Jib Jab, yes, the snake guns are in its own caliber. So the Python, for instance, you can't get the Python in anything but 357. The same thing with the Viper, and the King Cobra is a 357 as well. If you want a 44 Magnum snake, then you're going to have to go with the Anaconda. The Colt Python, I'm telling you, that is the shit. It is the best revolver I've shot in 40 years. You know what, Edward? That's crazy. Um, I bought my Colt Python. Now, keep in mind, I bought the Colt Python Combat Elite, which is actually a step up from the standard Python. The Combat Elite comes with G10 grips, uh, tritium front night sight, and the cylinder is solid. It's not fluted. And I got that on sale Black Friday for $999. And now they're selling them in Tennessee anyway. I can go to Smoky Mountain Guns and Ammo and get that for $1,300. But when I got that for $999, I jumped all over that. But I guess guns, depending on where you live, are cheaper as well. Like in Tennessee, the firearms are definitely a lot cheaper here than they are in New Jersey because um, I have a lot of friends of mine that still live in New Jersey and we talk very frequently. So, for instance, when I bought my Springfield Echelon, um, I got that for cheap here. Like, I don't know, like $480, something like that. And they're like $650 in New Jersey. Yes, I agree with you, Heavy Man. A lot of good guns do go overlooked. Um, but, again, I find in Tennessee, guns are fairly reasonable here. You know what, Pure Joy? I think you're going to go away. I mean, try not to discuss politics. Every once in a while, I'll let it go. But, oof, Heavy Man. Dude, I feel for you living in Illinois. That piece of shit governor you have over there, I'm sure you've heard about the other stupid thing they got going on in Illinois about they want to uh, they want to have every round of ammunition serialized and registered in the state police database. Um, that's just insane. And that governor is just a lunatic. Yep, I agree with you, Steve. Thank God you live in Arizona. Arizona is also a great state to live in as a gun owner, as is Tennessee. Yeah, hard to believe, isn't it, Duke? That there's there's actually some states that are worse than New Jersey. And look at all of this, the gun laws that Connecticut is trying to pass now. Connecticut is actually getting to be worse than New Jersey. Virginia, forget about it. That communist, she's a lunatic. And again, people vote and get what they vote for. Um, I don't understand how these things happen. I mean, there's more guns in America than there are people. So if every gun owner voted, we wouldn't have this mess. And you can't stay home and not vote and then cry and bitch and moan when they take your rights away. Um, last Saturday was early voting in Tennessee. My wife and I went to early voting, and we were the only two people in the building, and that disturbed me. Um, Even though Tennessee is a red state, and I don't see our gun laws changing in the near future, it just bothers me that nobody was voting. Um, and this is how stupid shit happens, like AOC getting elected, because nobody votes. You can't be a gun owner and then cry that your gun rights are being taken away if you don't go out and do anything about it. Yeah, I agree with you, Howdy. That redistricting bullshit. They just do everything they can do to try to hinder elections, um, and it just gets worse and worse. I agree with AOC, Steve. AOC is a joke, but I agree with you, Jib Jab. I mean, if you did the math, right, it clearly shows that gun owners don't vote. And the other thing about gun owners is that a lot of people that are hunters and they only have long guns and they only hunt, they don't really care about magazine capacity or restrictions on handguns because they think it doesn't apply to them. But eventually it may. I think as a gun owner, you need to write your representative about any gun bill that you don't think is right. Yes, we all need to vote in November, but we know it doesn't happen. I'd like to agree with you there, Heavy Man, but the problem is we've seen for years and years our gun rights deteriorating, and nobody's doing anything about it. I mean, this isn't anything new. And the other thing I don't understand, I still don't get, is why we're even having these debates and laws going back and forth in courts over Second Amendment issues. There's nothing to discuss. It's absolute, and I don't understand. Like in New Jersey, they've been going back and forth for 16 years on assault weapons and magazine restrictions. I just don't understand how something that is absolute and it's not the government's right to take away, we have to keep fighting for every year. I mean, how long are we going to keep fighting the same stuff over and over again? Well, that's the other problem, Howdy. You can't. I don't understand how judges interpret things differently. I mean, we need more judges like Clarence Thomas. There's nothing to interpret. It's the Bill of Rights was written to protect us from the government. It's not the government's right to take away from us. There's nothing to figure out. Yes, the problem, Heavy Man, is that the government wants a unarmed society so that people will be like sheep and they can do whatever they want to us and we can't fight back. They underestimate how many guns are in this country. We have a lot of new people on this stream today, so I welcome you all. If you like what we do here, we do this live stream every Wednesday evening, 8 o'clock Eastern, and every Saturday at 12 noon. This is a open forum, and we discuss firearms, Second Amendment, accessories, etc. We all learn a lot from each other. Like I always say, we don't all know everything, but everybody knows something. Yes, I agree, Duke. They know what the law means. They just choose to ignore it. This is why national reciprocity is never going to happen. Not in our lifetime. You know what, Heavy Man? Funny thing about that, I, I'm an IT guy. Right? I'm a data analyst, so I love analyzing data. And I was looking at some data the other day, and it's not a shock that the government lies to us, especially the FBI. But according to the Crime Prevention Center, more mass shootings are stopped more efficiently by armed civilians than law enforcement. And there are less casualties and injuries when armed citizens stop an active shooter than law enforcement. And then you have mishaps. If you look at mishaps, you have one person shot by mistake from a law-abiding citizen versus 4 from law enforcement. Now, to that point, I think the reason that armed citizens stop more active shootings than law enforcement is because the police are not on the scene, right? By the time the police get on the scene, the number of people that are dead, I mean, the damage is already done, number one. A lot of criminals avoid areas that have a police presence. So I think the advantage that the armed citizens have is that, unlike law enforcement that wears uniforms to identify themselves, and actually, for that matter, they're a target, right? They walk in there with their uniforms, and the bad guys know who they are, and they start shooting at them. The armed citizens, they just blend in. Bad guys don't know who you are. And that is why they are more effective at stopping mass shootings than police. And then, if you look at accuracy, the average gun owner is a much better shooter than the cops. And I got to tell you, I've spent a lot of time on the range with law enforcement, and they are not the best shooters. Matter of fact, according to the FBI statistics, law enforcement only hits their targets 30% of the time. You know what, Galactron, you're entitled to your opinion, so whatever. But anyway, law enforcement only hits their target 30% of the time, which is pitiful. But now it makes sense when you hear on the news that, 3 cops fired their guns and 21 shots were fired, and they hit the guy 3 times. That's why. They can't shoot for shit. As a pistol instructor, I can tell you, when I see cops at the range, they're horrible. They qualify once a year. Now, I'm not bad-mouthing cops. I respect the officers in blue, and I fully support what they do. But they're not all the best shots in the world. I got to tell you that. And when the FBI has those statistics of they hit their target 30% of the time, now you know why you have 3 cops unloading their magazines and they hit the guy 2 or 3 times. Yes, Jason, I agree. They qualify once a year, which is pathetic. They should qualify at least quarterly. And, their standards are not that high. When I got my NRA instructor certification, I had to qualify and score 90%. Most of these cops only have to score 70. Yes, police qualification is very easy, and it only applies, once a year. It's a joke. Now, there's another argument with all of the mall shootings. Most of the time, the security guards are not carrying firearms. But there's a reason for that. The quality of, most of those people hired by the mall just walked in off the street, number one. Number two, a lot of the mall security management doesn't want armed security officers there because it makes the customers uneasy. I think what they need to do is hire better security guards that are armed, because when there's a shooting in the mall, like in Louisiana the other day, by the time law enforcement gets there, it's too late. And a lot of times the shooter kills himself. The damage is already done by the time the cops get there. All right, guys. Time really flew today, and I apologize that I rambled on and on. I blew most of the time for you guys, but anyway, it is 1:00. We're going to end this stream. Thank you all so much for joining, especially the new people. We do this every Wednesday evening at 8:00 Eastern. We will be having a giveaway. I will put my email address here. I will be giving away a Mission Tactical belly band holster. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate that. Anyone else out there who hasn't done so, please subscribe, turn on notifications. And again, I just put my email address out there. Send me an email. And I will announce next Saturday the winner of the Mission First Tactical belly band. Hope you all have a great weekend. God bless.